morning. Welcome back. We are the Political Insiders here in New York, joined by Pat Cadell, and sitting in for Doug Schoen, our executive producer, Martin Hinton, who really is here more than Doug Schoen is. So Doug sits in for you occasionally, Martin. We got a lot to cover this week. Obviously, the hottest thing in politics, Pat, you haven't been with us for 2 weeks. You've seen it from afar. I mean, Donald Trump is a phenomenon politically.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting watching the mainstream media trying to stumble all over themselves. Why he hasn't disappeared yet. They keep telling him he's over, and he keeps getting higher and higher.
Oh, the McCain thing, it ruined him.
Done. Right. No, it just keeps on right. Well, you know, the thing is that Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, is hitting things that are really emotional with voters, which is their discontent with the political class, the incompetence of their government, the immigration stuff, all the things that, by the way, not just Republicans concerned about, but others. But Trump is a president, that's not being judged yet. But he's holding on to that. But I like to say he and Bernie Sanders are drinking out of the same trough, just on opposite ends. Same kind of difficulty protest. But Trump does not back down. This thing with Walker, where Walker's fundraiser sent out a letter calling him dumb, and Trump said, thank God now I can attack Walker.
Right, and then he has a piece of paper there, say Martin, and he's clearly been briefed on the economic situation in Wisconsin. Yeah. He said it's a disaster. The roads are bad. They don't have any money
the schools, nobody.
There was supposed to be $1 billion surplus. There's a $2.2 billion deficit.
If that's so,
like
Walker's in trouble.
Error.
If that's the case, that's going to hurt.
And by the way, well, first of all, your thoughts before we.
Well, you know, one of the things we discussed on Friday and we chatted a bit about yesterday is that Trump has this capacity now to maintain attention. And I made the comment that it makes him an ideal primary candidate in today's media environment and that sort of thing. But the actual practical functions of, say, getting elected in a general election with ground game and that sort of thing, and he made a comment about how the RNC is sort of warming to him. Is that an indication that he's thinking over the horizon, do you think? Or is that, because he does seem now in the moment. He's brilliantly in the moment.
You know what I think?
But over the horizon.
Better. I've known Trump, too, for 30 years, but never talked to him about campaigns. And I don't know if he's thinking about technical political stuff that we do care about.
Yeah.
Workers, ground game, phone ban. I don't know. Right now, he's doing this all by himself. It's all out of his head.
That's what,
And Pat's head, because Pat's mind melding with them.
Oh, God, thank you. Let's get this straight. Anyway, no, I'm not.
He's a fan of the show, and that's
he's a fan of the show. And he obviously picks up the cues. What's interesting is how much the media's let him, particularly the channels that don't like him, the CNNs, the MSNBC, how much time they're giving. He has literally sucked the oxygen out of everything else. Kasich announces and barely mentioned that day. We gave him.
And maybe the most qualified candidate in the entire race.
And we've talked about this on other campaigns where controlling the narrative is key, and how Obama had done it in the 2 presidential cycles that we've covered. And Trump is doing that now for the first time for the GOP since.
Let me tell you something.
Let's quickly, while you're talking, let's put polls up. Let's do Iowa first, number 2 first. Pat, you talked, but look at the poll.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of movement in here since Trump came on. He's only 2 points behind Scott Walker, going up to 17. And yesterday he brought this poll up in his speech about Walker, and he said, please put me ahead here in Iowa.
Yeah, can't believe I'm second to that guy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, look at all the people he's wiping out. You know, where's
remember Rand
Bush,
Paul was going to be the nominee? He's at 5%.
Yeah, well, notice one thing that's happened is that we've had candidates who announced and have already started slipping. You know, I kept saying I think this process is
Rubio.
too soon.
Look at Rubio.
I mean, look at this. But whether they come back or not, that always can happen. But this announcing early
and doing New Hampshire up while you're talking.
But I want to say something about this. Trump yesterday, I noticed, made a nuanced change about talking about the establishment and what have you, which is important. This is after Ted Cruz directly took on McConnell and the leadership
on Friday on the
for
Senate,
reviving the dead Import-Export Bank. The Republican establishment is so alienating leadership in Congress, their own base, that doing that is very smart. Whether it helps Cruz particularly or not, I don't know. But we're going to see someone's going to get on that.
Right. That's what the secret story, Martin, of this race, and we have to wrap it up, of the whole GOP race is the primary voters versus the GOP establishment. Who is going to get all the primary voters against the establishment behind him? If you look in these polls, 8% are with Carson, right?
Right.
17% would do Iowa with Trump. There's 25%. Most of Walker is Tea Party, anti-establishment, which is why he stays
But
strong.
he's trying to walk both ends of that. That's
He gets a little bit of establishment. You're right, but Huckabee's anti. So it really you're going to get quickly over 50% of the voters against the establishment, and that's where the action.
I got news for you. It's over 50 already.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to. This is the whole question about insurgencies. A real insurgency will take them on.
All right.
It's here.
We're going to do a lot more on this on Sunday night with Harris Faulkner, if she's back, I think, on Sunday night, 7:30, Political Insiders. For Martin Hinton, Pat Caddell, I'm John LeBoutelier. Have a great week.